Yo, 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 yo. What's up? Gonna wait for a few people to pile in here. Basically, gonna go over a few things. I've been away for a little bit, so there's certainly things to talk about right now. Still things happening in the Tupac stories and the Tupac world of things. Obviously, tomorrow being the death of Tupac and survive those days that he was in the hospital. But on another note, hopefully everybody's doing well. But wanted to come on live and talk about a few things that I think that need to be exposed. And I think the first thing we'll talk about is this alleged, um, you know, I'm not gonna say the word because I might get a strike or might get the video strike. But let's just say RAP, and you know the rest. So hey, what's up, Q Smooth? Um, Never obey. Yo, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a long time. But just wanted to talk about that. They keep bringing out this story that Tupac was this happened in prison, and I think it's a bunch of malarkey, and I think it's so untruthful. And this whole conjecture of they've heard this recorded audio of somebody saying that Tupac was in jail, to me is ridiculous. Just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's true. But beyond that, I think you have to use your common sense here, and especially the way the news travels in today's world, which travels at a rapid pace. It travels through social media. It travels through whatever source of media that's out there, the news or whatever it was. But back in the day, back in 1995, when Tupac went to prison, news didn't travel fast. Newspaper was pretty much the social medium, so to speak. And then, of course, you had global news or whatnot. And with all that considered, nobody, not one person, whether it be a correctional officer, if it was, a few involved or a few that saw this happen or whatnot, even the perpetrators, people that may have been involved with this, people that have nothing to lose, lifers, so to speak, where they don't care if they come out and say that they committed a crime against somebody because they it doesn't matter. They're not going to get in trouble anyways if they're in prison for life. So what would it matter if somebody came out and said that they did this to Tupac, especially to gain some kind of publicity for themselves or whatnot? But from 1995 until today, we have nobody who's come out and said that they were involved in any sort of thing against Tupac when he was in prison. Now, I've heard other people on the internet, such as Reggie Wright and other people, say that that they've heard the audio of this and this has happened or whatever. They don't believe it happened, but they named a few people. Okay, let's say four people they named. They named Chino XL, right? Well, we know Tupac talked about Chino XL, and he's from the East Coast, right? So he has a grind. He has an axe to grind. Wendy Williams, who's also from the East Coast, who Tupac said some things about her, and she has an axe to grind. Notorious B.I.G., who was however you want to spin it, was Tupac's enemy, wasn't Tupac's enemy, but at the time he had something to say about it. Also had an axe to grind as well. Could have been Puffy. It could have been anybody that was from the East Coast saying these things. Now you have a guy that comes out and says, Mano says that he was in prison when Tupac was in prison with him, and he heard nothing like this. That nothing like this ever occurred. And I'm saying we've had all these years, over 2 decades, to hear one person come out and say, I did this to Tupac, but not one person has come out and said this, not one. So I just wanted to dispel that rumor because I think it's important that I know a lot of people that are in the Tupac community, don't believe that. And I know there may be some that do believe that, but if you really think about it and you analyze all these things, there's no way it could be true. No way at all. And if somebody was on audio being recorded saying this, who knows what they were saying? It's a lie. I mean, you have guys like DJ VLAD who has an axe to grind too, and for some reason, I just feel like he likes these salacious stories about Suge and Tupac, and he wants to hear all these cringy stories about both of them. And for what? I mean, the guy. I mean, to me, he's pro East Coast. So anybody who's pre East Coast, you take it with a grain of salt. Anything they do say about Tupac or Death Row or Suge whoever it may be. So, I mean, you have Whack 100 also who comes out and says that he has the audio or he has the paperwork. And let me tell you something, these guys don't have no paperwork. They don't even have any audio. They just say these things because they try to build your credibility when, if you think about it, their credibility has already been tarnished because supposedly they were going to come out with some other video back in February of something happening and they never came out with it. So it's all just hot smoke is what it is. It's nothing else. It's just fallacies. So I'll read a couple of questions here. So what's up? What's up? Playlist 333. Oh yeah, also Mobb Deep. Mobb Deep does say the same thing. But what did Tupac say about Mobb Deep in his albums? So these guys, of course, if you really think about it, they want to attack your manhood. So if you've ever been horsing around with your friends or talking about an enemy or whatever, you talk about their manhood because you know that that's what's going to get to them. That's what's going to defeat them to a certain degree, right? Nobody likes that. So in Tupac's case, I mean, he didn't even care anyways because he knows it wasn't true. But you have all these idiots out there that believe that this was true. So just wanted to dispel that. And I don't know if you noticed or not, and I don't know anything about it. Don't put two and two together. I have no clue. RJ's channel's back. I haven't talked to him in a while. So maybe um, he's going to be doing something in the future. I have no idea. Who knows? I mean, or maybe he just brought up his channel just by accident or something. I don't know, but go check it out. He's back. Maybe even for temporary. Who knows? But it's always good to see his channel back and get the other side of the coin, so to speak, because we always hear the same things from the same people talking about the same crap all the time. Um, and I think that is pretty much it. We're coming up on over 2 decades of Tupac's been dead. He's still relevant. He's still the greatest of all time. There's no other rapper out there that even comes close to him, even though there's people that would dispute that. But um, there's these fires that are happening right now between different channels, people turning on each other, and it's always been that way. You can't ever trust some of the people that you work with because you never know what their underlying agenda is. But and hopefully everybody's doing well. Hopefully everybody's doing good. I should have more Tupac news. I know that I'm gonna be creating some content and getting online and making more interactive. I haven't been around for a long time, but hopefully get back into the fold. And I just been thinking about those things recently about the whole Tupac thing, the whole him being in jail and this happening to him, which I think is completely unfair. I mean, it's just like when they talk about Russell Poole, when they talk about Michael Moore, talk about Frank Alexander, talk about all people that are not alive to defend themselves. And it just kind of shows you the character of people that would do that would talk like that. Because when these people were alive, nobody was talking. Period. It was quiet, like it was like a church mouse everywhere. But then when these guys die, all of a sudden they start speaking about it. And then of course we know what do we got? The trial. The trial got moved for Keefe D till May. Who knows why that's going to happen or whatever. Probably wanted to collect the evidence that they were going to gather from. I mean, I would imagine the prosecution or whatever. Um, I don't know that. That's just my theory. I mean, there would be no other reason why they would push it back unless the prosecution doesn't have anything. We've already talked about that. I guess the other revelation is that there was a fifth person in the car. So that really opens up a can of worms because there's been another theory that was out there that there was 5 people in a vehicle, and it was always sought out that it was only 4 people in the vehicle, right? If you looked at my previous podcasts, we talked about, or lives, we talked about the maroon car and the white car that was following the entourage to Suge's Las Vegas mansion that was logged into the security gate, so to speak. And then there was the other one, the other police report where there was a lady who identified not seeing certain things when she saw cars speeding off in Las Vegas. And if you haven't seen those, you might want to go take a look at those again. I might re-upload those again so you can kind of just look at those and just kind of see what there is. But there's a few comments here. I'm going to read those, and then I'm gonna be leaving from this live, but I appreciate everybody joining for sure. I know that I haven't been on the channel for a long time, but just been busy with other things in life. But always keep up with the Tupac scene. Always looking to further my knowledge and what's going on, and hopefully, even if the persons or whoever never comes gets their never gets prosecuted. I mean, this Tupac story will always live on forever for sure. Tupac, the voice is the voice of pain. Yeah, I agree. They're just trying again cloud off the name for saying that type of stuff. So is Tupac's death governmental? I'm gonna say no. Who do you think killed Tupac? It's an interesting question. It doesn't really matter who I think killed Tupac. I think that the story has never been officially solved because I feel like there was a lot of players that lied about a lot of things. The story has never been truthful, and there's been a lot of just misdirection in this case for sure. I only will tell you this. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but whenever police are involved in crimes, do they ever get solved? Not likely. Not mostly. So I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. There's going to be a time or there's been a place where police has committed a crime and it's gotten caught red-handed, and of course they had no choice but to get prosecuted and get thrown in jail. But then there's been other cases where police have hid their corruption and have lied for each other and never been prosecuted and they got away scot free. So let's not believe that if a police does something, he's going to get caught too, or he's going to face the same judgment as I guess you would say somebody who is a regular civilian, right? So I would say there was a lot of elements in the murder of Tupac, but I would certainly say that whenever police are involved, do crimes ever get solved? And then, that adds to another point about Reggie Wright talking about if Rafael Perez did never knew him and he turned in 70 of his officers. Do you really feel like that if Rafael Perez was involved in Biggie's murder, that he's going to volunteer information when he already has enough ammo to get himself a sweet deal? I mean, turning in 70 of his own officers. Why in the world would he volunteer information to say that he was involved in Biggie's murder along with David Mack, and if Reggie was involved in that? I mean, why would he do that? That is such a dumb point to make. Nobody's going to volunteer more information than they need. All they needed was 70 people. I mean, they would have given him a sweet deal if he had turned in 2 people, 3 people. And even turning in 70 people, he didn't even get a squeeze of a deal that he could have gotten. I mean, he had to do some prison time, but they're not gonna volunteer information. There's no reason to volunteer information. So let's see what else we got here. Do you think there's gonna be more Tupac music coming up? Do you think the game knows a lot towards the Tupac's death? I don't know if the game knows a lot about Tupac's death. He said some stuff on his last time he seen Tupac's song, but I don't know. I mean, he certainly could. I'm not saying he doesn't, but I don't know. Not a lot of people know about Tupac's death. Yeah, there's that rumor that spreads like wildfire, like, oh, okay, Orlando Anderson did it. Think about it. Whenever somebody says something, if one person says it before anybody else says it, and where does the lie originate from? So if it originates from somebody who is trying to steer a narrative, that if it starts with one person and they tell another person who's part of their group, and then those people start telling another group, then you can't, once you hear it down the line, it's like get on the phone, that phone game. Once you get down the line, then the person who heard it, if he had to backtrack all the people, he'd get lost because he wouldn't be able to find the original source. So who is the original source that says that Orlando Anderson did it? Well, the original source was Reggie Wright and Mob James, who supposedly saw him outside, which I find really hard to believe that that'd be a story. And then, of course, we always talk about the whole Tupac, them seeing Tupac out, and about. I mean, by the grace of God, you see him in a crowded MGM Grand with all these people around. and then they happen to run into each other with all these people at the same moment, at the same time. They run into each other, and then you know people will say, "Well, nobody whispered in Tupac's ear. That's why he didn't take. That's why he took off." Well, why would he take off if he never knew? If he didn't know who Orlando Anderson was from a can of paint, why in the world would he just run at some guy and attack him if he wasn't told something? And what I'm saying, like, what I'm saying to you is, if somebody said something to him that enraged him enough to go and attack Orlando Anderson because he didn't know who Orlando Anderson was. So the people that says that Tupac was never told anything, well then how in the world did he know to go attack somebody? It's because somebody told him to. So that happens, and then they see him. They take on to Suge's house. They spend some time over there, and then by the grace of God again, supposedly Orlando Anderson and Keefe D see him out on the boulevard, and then they see Tupac, hanging out the car. I mean, these guys could have been anywhere, all these cars everywhere. And I guess people make it seem like the story was the streets were empty and there was just only two cars driving and they saw Tupac when the place was crawling with people because of the Mike Tyson fight, whether it had been the traffic of the cars, the pedestrians that were walking. It was a crowded area. So for Keefe D and Orlando or whoever to be able to see Tupac, to me, not near the time and way after the time when they were hanging out at this house, Suge's house, and then they left, for them to be able to run into him again, man, these guys got really lucky. They had played the lottery that night, because to run into somebody twice. I mean, I'll tell you this: call your friend, tell him to go meet you in Las Vegas during a boxing fight, whatever boxing fight draws a large attraction of people, and without any cell phones or anything, tell your friend, I'll meet you there at the MGM somewhere, anywhere, and let's see how long it's going to take you to find them. And that's you telling them that you're going to find them. Yeah, if you go there and you find them, it's because y'all talked about it. Tupac and Orlando didn't talk about this. So Tupac to find Orlando, or Orlando to find Tupac, however you view it, to me, it's just, the odds are tremendous. They really are. They're so tremendous. And it doesn't even make any sense, period. So there's a lot of theories. Maybe he was following him. Maybe he was hired by somebody to be there. Maybe, who knows? I don't know, but do I believe the official story about what happened that night? Absolutely not. And then, of course, having to find them going down the boulevard in the car, and then shooting them or whatever, and then never been able to find the gun. No one's ever asked where the gun's at. No one ever asked, what did you do with the gun? The gun was supposedly stolen from the wheel well. Well, who knew about the gun in the wheel well? And then there was a series about them finding a gun in the backyard, and a dog having it in his mouth, thought it was a bone or something. I mean, the stories are so comical about how all these things happened, that it makes no sense. And of course, I'm on my soapbox here. Orlando Anderson, who's the modern day Terminator, he's been accused of a crime a few months or 4 months before, of killing a guy at a party, and then shoots at Bobby Lads and I don't know the other guy, I can't remember his name, shoots at their car as a gang initiation. And they don't arrest him. They know who it is, but they don't arrest him. They say, oh, it was Orlando Anderson. So what, attempted murder on a police officer, or assault on a police officer with a deadly weapon, or nobody goes and arrests him for that. And then, of course, supposedly he was at a club with a blue powder jacket before, when Suge's best friend or close friend got killed, and they blamed it on Puffy. And he doesn't, he's not tied to anything. So this story just gets so, I don't know, so convoluted. It doesn't make any sense. So obviously there's some misdirection there. But anyways, I'm going to read a few more of these questions and I'm going to be out of here. But do I think there's going to be any more Tupac music? I don't think so. And I think the reason why there's not going to be a lot of Tupac music coming available is because a lot of it was leaked out, supposedly. I won't make any allegations. They say John Hyland from that one channel, um, he was involved in leaking some music and selling some music online to people in England or something like that. Is what I understand. I've heard before. I'm not making any allegations. I'm just repeating the story. Getting like $5,000 to $10,000 a track. So I think that even if you do get new Tupac music, it's probably gonna be something you've heard before. And then of course you got to get a producer to, create the beats and engineering and all that other kind of stuff. So, but I mean, he's still relevant. People still buy his music. I mean, his streams are in the millions. He still holds a good foothold, even being dead. I mean, think about it. His music is more relevant today than most artists today. Today's artists, ABC rap, and it's very basic. And there's not a lot of good guys out there that are singing. Um, do you think the game? Okay, we already read that one. Who did everyone think Tupac was still alive or still is? I don't know. I think people wanted to believe that he was alive because it was kind of that Elvis thing, that you can't let go of the artist because he was only 25 years old and he hadn't lived to his full potential. And it's hard to let go of somebody or something that you feel like should have never died. And obviously, we don't even know if he would have even stayed alive because of just all the hate that was out there. And at what point was it all going to end for him? I mean, obviously, being tied to death row, you had to live up to a certain standard image. But I feel like the security, mainly Reggie Wright, who owns his that failing company of his, just was a fly by night wannabe security director, whatever it was. Like he's not a top notch, like through and through kind of director because trust me, Tupac, as popular as he was and as many enemies as he had, and everything that was ongoing, whether or not you want it or you don't want it, sometimes you have to force people into doing something. And if Tupac didn't want to have some kind of security or he didn't need it or whatever, you still as the security director, you're obligated to say, you know what, you're gonna have it. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna cry? Is he gonna gripe? Is he gonna fire you for doing the right thing? No, he's not. He's gonna just accept it and that's it. So um I thought Tupac was alive back maybe in 2010. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you and try to say that I didn't believe it. I did just because of one of the songs that says, I think it was Against All Odds. If you listen to the lyrics, it says something about Cuba, but that could have been unrelated. But no, he's definitely dead. There's no way he's alive. Situation going on with him. It's not surprising as far as Tupac. Reggie was fired with Pac before to Vegas. You think Reggie was involved in his death? I don't know if he was involved in his death. I mean, let's just say that if somebody was negligent, for sure, if that's what you can say attributes to somebody's death, then I mean, you make your judgment. If we're hanging out and I decide to drink until I get drunk and we drive in a car and we crash and you die, was I considerate of you? Probably not. So was I involved in your death? Maybe not directly, but indirectly I was. So let's just say possibly indirectly. No, let's just say indirectly. Let's not say possible. Let's just say indirectly. Um, let's see. If Pac was here, what artist do you think he would collaborate with? That's a real hard one. I would think Kendrick Lamar for sure. I know one artist that I feel like he would never collaborate with, and that would be Drake. No, that's not that's not his that's not his type of artist. If you really think about it, Drake is like a R&B pop wannabe rap artist. I never liked Eminem. Well, let's just put it this way: I don't think he's not the greatest of all time. He's top 10, but he's not top 5 in my book. Okay, he's crafty with his lyrics, but as far as him having the same, I think, push in the industry, then I think he's not there. But obviously he's alive, right? So he has more record sales because Tupac's dead, right? Because they try to make comparison between Tupac and Eminem and Notorious B.I.G. And I always say, well, what is Notorious B.I.G.? What is his portfolio? his music catalog is 2 albums, right? And they always say, well, you know, he's the greatest rapper of all time. And I'm like, well, how is that supposedly? They say, well, if Tupac's the greatest rapper of all time and he died, I say, well, so did Biggie, but that doesn't make him the greatest of all time. Death doesn't make you the greatest of all time. What you put in your lyrics and the albums you put and what you contribute to your craft is what makes you the greatest of all time. And you got to remember Tupac was doing music as well. So, yeah, movies and music. I'm sorry, movies and music. And he was just a talented artist, and Biggie was nowhere near him. Maybe he had a better flow than Tupac, but wasn't better than him. And just going back to Eminem, I can listen to some of his songs. I thought his new album was okay, but is he the greatest of all time? Not even close. And but I think he would have worked with the game. Possibly Ice Cube. I think just mainly everybody from the West Coast he would have worked with the exception of some artists. But who knows if he would have even stayed in the rap game? You know, I mean, he was already talking about he wanted to leave, and I think at some point he wanted to pursue politics or something of that nature. So um, there were two people playing the role of Tupac. Google Tupac. Nah, Tupac is dead, man. I'm sorry, and I respect what you say, but he's dead, man. He couldn't stay. He couldn't stay quiet this long, and some of the things that they say he is MC a kill and things like that. Those it doesn't even match up. I mean, it's just coincidental, and a lot of times it's like your own confirmation bias. Like you want to believe it so much that you'll make yourself believe like, hey, that his ear is shaped the same or his eyes look the same or whatever. But nah, Tupac he's dead, man. He's gone. He's left this world, and he left a legacy. He left a lot of stuff behind, and for us to enjoy. And I'm sure there's still music out there that they're going to release. Um, so who knows? Is there ever going to be another Tupac again? Absolutely not. Music artist wise, absolutely not. Not even close. Album sales doesn't equate to greatness, in my opinion, because you see some of the songs that get all these views and they're just terrible. It's just because the generation of today has a short mind span, and they think that things that they hear are good. And I always hear people that younger generation has never heard Tupac, and they hear him, they're like, "Oh man, what is this? This is cool," in comparison to what they're listening to today. I mean, I don't even know a song I can even tell you right now that is like top five, and it's just pure junk. So um, Tupac never exists. The person who played, that's why Kendrick beat him in the battle. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll leave it with that. Kendrick Lamar beat Drake in the battle, no doubt. Beat him, hands down. Doesn't matter what anybody says. You have these clowns out there like DJ Academics that says that Drake is top five, number one, two, three, four, five, greatest of all time. Come on now, the greatest of all time in singing pop music, maybe, but overall rap music, no, not at all. But question, whatever, seven cheesy, whatever. Tupac's dead, man. I mean, if you believe Tupac's alive, well then great. You're gonna be waiting a long time. You're never gonna see him. He's never gonna come back. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, but you're gonna be in the same boat that the people that believe Elvis is alive. You're hanging on to something that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. But to each their own. You won't meet a better Tupac fan than me. I was in high school. When he died, he's no longer with us. He would have done music with Kendrick, Nas. Drake is a pop star. Yeah, Drake is a pop star. I've been telling people that for a long time. Not a rapper. He's a pop star, man. Listen to his music and look at all the lyrics he's stolen from people. Their ad libs and things like that. He's I don't know. Maybe to this generation he's the greatest of all time, but not the generation that we grew up in. So anyhow, I was going to keep this live to about 10 minutes, but I kind of got on my soapbox, and just want to let everybody know that I'll be coming out with something soon, more fine-tuned with pictures and clips and things of that nature, and we'll have a calling number, things of that nature. So look forward to seeing all the people that I see on the chat boards and talking, and hopefully everybody is doing good out there in their own personal lives. I know we're coming to a big moment here, a fork in the road, so to speak, with the election that's going to be happening in November. And I always tell people all the time, make your best judgment, and whatever it is, whatever affects you in your community, certainly, um, you know, express your thoughts in your votes. And it doesn't matter who you vote for. I'm non-political, so I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I go left or right as far as Democrat or Republican. I don't. I just say just make your best judgment, and whoever you vote for is whoever you vote for. No hate here from me. So anyhow, thank you for joining. Stay tuned for new news coming up here soon. And I always tell you guys, always seek the truth, no matter where it takes you. Have a good one.